Oh boy, I just did a Twitter poll. I wonder what the results were. Okay, fuck it, we're doing Home on the Range because it technically won. This film is mostly known by Disney fans because it was the last traditionally animated Disney canon movie released until The Princess and the Frog in 2009. In the early 2000s, while Pixar was facing huge success with their films, Disney themselves were being rather experimental with their post-Renaissance animated films. We got some cult classics like Atlantis, The Lost Empire, and Treasure Planet, we got some bleh films like Brother Bear, and we got some movies that critics and audiences alike can agree are great films, namely The Emperor's New Groove and Lilo and Stitch. But still, the post-Renaissance period was not the finest time for the animation studio, and with this film being the end of an era, it's often found as one of Disney's weaker films. With that said, I still really hope Disney makes another traditionally animated film at some point. That would be sweet, but we've still got great 2D animation artists elsewhere to keep me satisfied for the time being. Also, for a side note, I have a bit of a history with this film. When I went to see this film, and believe me, I was one of the only, I was sitting in the higher area of the theater. I don't know exactly why I did this, but I went above the railing next to the stairs and fell down near the exit. I was about 5 at the time I saw this, and my little Asperger-ridden self probably didn't know any better, or this movie just flat out bored me. But you know, I think it's the former, because this film is way better than I thought it was gonna be. I usually hold even the smallest of things that don't even matter onto me, but when I was watching this film, surprisingly, I didn't really think about it. I mean, I thought about the incident, but it didn't really hinder my experience. So let's talk about this movie for a bit, shall we? Home on the Range is about cows doing cow things. Okay, more specifically, it's about these 3 cows, Maggie, Grace, and Mrs. Calloway. Speaking of, they never explain why she's named Mrs., yet there's no Mr. Calloway. I'm just guessing it's another Mrs. Puff situation.
Then what happened to Mr. Puff?
She doesn't like to talk about it.
Maggie is transported to a small farm known as the Little Patch of Heaven after she is the only cow left on her old farm. Shortly thereafter, the patch is in danger of being sold to somebody else as the owner Pearl, no, not that Pearl, only has 3 days to pay $750 or the farm will be auctioned off. So the cows go into town to find a way to raise money. Wouldn't you know it, after trying to win some money at a fair, they realize the bounty for a bandit known as Alameda Slim is exactly $750. So they go on a hunt for this varmint and discover that he has quite a bit more tricks up his sleeves than they initially thought. Along the way, a horse acquaintance of theirs known as Buck seeks the glory for himself, riding alongside a bounty hunter known as Rico. But even Rico has some heartbreaking revelations down the line. Also, I gotta say, while he's not my favorite Disney villain, not even in my top 10 or even 20, I feel Slim is a highly underrated villain. For fuck's sake, guys, he hypnotizes people with singing! Singing! What other Disney villain does that? Sure, 99% of them have a villain song, and they're almost always fantastic. But do any of them have the ability to hypnotize people through such a good singing voice? I don't think so. Seriously, Disney, put another villain with this ability into an upcoming animation studio movie, and you instantly have my money. Surprisingly, I think this is a decent movie. And oh no, this is far from Disney's finest film, but I kinda give it some slack for being their final film before they hit rock bottom with Chicken Little. The characters, while simple, are fun and entertaining. They're not as deep as some of Disney's finest efforts, but they're not exactly one-dimensional either. Same goes for the animation. It has that trademark Disney fluidity, but not on the level as, again, their finest works. While not intense at all, really, I also like the climax of the movie. Alameda Slim reveals that he's stolen a bunch of cattle so he can sell them to this shady-looking guy named Wesley, voiced by Steve Buscemi, in order to make a profit. So now the journey is not only to save the Little Patch of Heaven, it's to also free these cows, which they do, rather abruptly. The climax is full of twists and turns as the cows eventually capture Slim, but he breaks free, dons his friendly Yancey O'Dell alter ego, leaves the cows stranded in the desert, and goes to the Little Patch auction to try and win. Though I will say, the film ends kind of abruptly as the cows expose Slim, have a brief scuffle with some good old yodeling, he gets arrested, they get the reward money for Pearl, save the farm, and everything's hunky-dory again. The film's climax is nowhere near as deep as, say, a Disney princess movie, Wreck-It Ralph, Big Hero 6, or even Zootopia. But in the end, I like it for being what the rest of the movie is, a fun, pleasant roller coaster ride. Again, Home on the Range is not a great film by any means. If you want to see great traditional Disney animation at its finest, check out any Disney Renaissance film, The Princess and the Frog, any of Disney's earliest movies. It's really weird that the canon features both Bambi and Wreck-It Ralph under the same umbrella, but my point is there's so many great Disney movies that in the end, Home on the Range just comes off as a decent one. But in the end, I really didn't find it as cutesy or disgusting as most people view it. If you don't like this film, I hear ya, you're entitled to your opinion. But for my money, I see a film with good animation, good voice acting, good music, and while not endearing, the characters are at the very least enjoyable. Home on the Range, while not Disney magic at its finest, as an end to an era, it's a perfectly solid diversion.